Subscribe to my YouTube channel, share it with your friends, and comment your thoughts. The blood-stained note. She stood frozen in the small, cold hospital room, the sterile smell cutting through the heavy silence. Her hand trembled as she stared down at the blood-stained note clutched tightly between her fingers. The edges were soaked with crimson, but the ink was still clear enough to read. Her heart thudded painfully against her ribs. Outside, the faint echo of footsteps crept down the hallway. Then the door creaked open. A man stepped inside, tall, sharp, his white coat crisp but worn at the edges. His name tag caught the harsh fluorescent light. Dr. Adrian Wolfe. He looked calm, but his eyes were unreadable. Not the comforting doctor she had imagined, but something colder, more distant, his gaze locked onto hers. "You shouldn't have come here," he said quietly. Her breath caught in her throat. She wanted to speak, but the words refused to come. Instead, she swallowed hard, trying to steady the shaking in her hands. "Where's my sister?" she finally managed to whisper. The note was all she had, her only clue. Dr. Wolfe's expression didn't change. "I'm sorry. She's not here." She shook her head, refusing to accept it. "That's impossible. I saw the ambulance records. She was brought here 3 nights ago." He didn't answer. Instead, he glanced at the note again, his face tightening. For just a moment before masking it, her eyes followed his. The note was written in her sister's handwriting, a hurried scrawl, almost a cry for help. "If you find this, trust no one. They're watching. The truth is dangerous. Follow the money." Her chest tightened. The words sent a shiver down her spine. Who was watching? And what truth could be so dangerous? Before she could ask, the hospital intercom buzzed sharply, breaking the tension. "Emergency in ER. Code red." The doctor's eyes flicked toward the door. Without another word, he turned and rushed out. She was left alone, the note still clutched tightly in her hand, heart pounding, mind spinning with questions. The fear of doctors. She sank into the cold, plastic chair, trying to calm herself. The hospital felt like a cage, walls closing in with every passing second. She hated this place. Hated the smell, the bright lights, the sense of urgency and death lurking in every corridor. Her fear wasn't just from the sterile environment. It was deeper, older. Years ago, when she was a child, her mother had taken her to a doctor, one who was supposed to help but only made things worse. The memory was vivid and sharp, like a wound reopened. The doctor had dismissed her mother's pleas for help, ignoring symptoms until it was too late. The doctor had lied, neglected, and because of that, her mother had died alone in a hospital bed while she waited helplessly in the cold hallway. Since then, she'd avoided doctors at all costs. But now, desperation had dragged her here. Her sister had vanished without a trace. No calls, no messages, just silence for weeks. And now, this note. She swallowed the lump in her throat and forced herself to stand. The strange doctor's secret, wait. She heard the doctor's voice behind her, softer now. She turned to see him standing in the hallway, eyes fixed on her. "I need to tell you something," he said, lowering his voice. "Something you're not ready to hear." She frowned, heart pounding. "What?" He hesitated, then whispered, "I'm not just a doctor." She blinked. "What do you mean?" He swallowed hard, as if revealing a secret burned his throat. "I'm a millionaire. I've been hiding it." Her mind reeled. A millionaire doctor, why hide it, and why now? "Why tell me?" she asked, confusion mixing with suspicion. "Because your sister's disappearance is connected to something much bigger, something dangerous." Her breath hitched. "What?" He looked around nervously, as if afraid someone might overhear. "There are people watching this hospital. Watching you. They want to stop the truth from coming out." She felt a cold wave of fear. Who were these people? Why was her sister involved? The doctor's face was serious. "You need to be careful. You don't know who to trust." A sudden, Chaos before she could respond. A loud crash echoed down the hallway. "Code Blue, ICU room 5. The doctor's calm shattered. He pushed past her, disappearing into the chaos. She was left alone, clutching the note. The weight of her sister's last words heavy on her heart. Her mind raced. Was the doctor telling the truth? Was her sister caught in something deadly? And why was this man involved? Memories of betrayal. She found a quiet corner in the waiting area, sinking into a chair. Memories flooded back. Her sister's smile, the last fight they had, the way their father refused to believe she was missing. Her mother's death. The lies from the hospital, the silence from the police. She felt anger boil inside her, betrayal from those who should have protected her family. But now, with this note and this strange doctor, she realized she might be facing a danger far worse than anyone had imagined. The stranger watches as she folded the blood-stained note carefully. She caught movement from the corner of her eye. A shadowy figure stood across the hallway, watching her. She blinked, but the figure was gone. Her heart pounded. This was no coincidence. Someone wanted her to stop searching. The decision. She stood slowly, determination hardening in her eyes. Fear might have kept her from doctors before, but this was different. This was about her sister, about the truth. She had to find out what the doctor was hiding. She had to survive whatever was coming. Cliffhanger. She took a deep breath and stepped toward the elevator. The doors closed behind her, and as the elevator descended, her phone buzzed. A message flashed. On the screen, "Stop looking, or you'll disappear too." Her hand froze. The elevator jerked to a sudden stop. The secret unfolds. The elevator's lights flickered, the sudden halt throwing her forward. Panic surged through her chest as she gripped the cold metal handrail. The phone in her hand buzzed again, the screen lighting up with the same chilling message. "Stop looking, or you'll disappear too." Her fingers trembled. The words echoed like a warning shot in the silence of the stalled elevator. Who was sending these messages? Why? And how had they found her here, in the heart of the city hospital? Her mind raced, trying to push the fear down deep. She had no choice but to keep moving forward. The elevator jolted back to life and descended, slowly. When the doors finally slid open, she stepped out into the dim corridor of the hospital's basement, a part of the building few patients ever saw, the basement's shadow. The basement was colder, darker, a maze of sterile hallways and locked doors. The hum of machines and distant voices were muffled here, almost eerie. She walked quickly, clutching the blood-stained note in one hand, her phone in the other. Her sister's desperate words, "Trust no one, follow the money," echoed again in her mind. What truth was so dangerous that it threatened her sister's life? And what did the doctor mean when he said he was a millionaire hiding in plain sight? Her thoughts were interrupted by the sound of footsteps behind her. She spun around. No one, but the feeling of being watched grew stronger. Flashback. The fear of doctors. She leaned against the cold wall, trying to steady her breathing. The fear she felt now wasn't new. It went back years. As a child, she had been sick, scared, and alone. Her mother had pleaded with doctors to save her, but they had ignored the signs, dismissed the symptoms. The doctor who treated her mother had been arrogant and cruel. Her mother had died in that hospital bed, alone and forgotten. Since then, hospitals were prisons in her mind, places where fear lived. Now, standing in this basement, she realized she was confronting her worst nightmare. But for her sister, for the truth, she had to be brave. The mysterious doctor returns a voice startled her. "Lost?" She turned sharply. It was Dr. Adrian Wolfe, the man who had shocked her with his secret. He stepped closer, his expression unreadable but serious. "I didn't expect you to follow me here," he said quietly. "Why are you really here?" she demanded. "Why did you hide that you're rich?" He sighed. "Because I had to. The people who want to keep this hospital quiet would do anything to stop me." She narrowed her eyes. "Stop you from what?" Adrian looked around nervously. from exposing a secret, one that involves powerful people. Her heart pounded. She had suspected her sister was caught in something big. Now she was sure. The millionaire's secret. Adrian's voice dropped lower. My family owns half this city. I'm the heir to a fortune, one built on this hospital and other businesses. She stared. This wasn't just a doctor. He was a man with power, influence. But I became a doctor because I wanted to help people. I hid my wealth to avoid attention. Then why did you tell me now? Because your sister found something dangerous, something she wasn't supposed to see. She clenched her fists. Tell me everything. He hesitated, but then nodded. The hospital's dark side. Adrian led her down the hallway to a small locked office. Inside were files, photographs, and documents. This hospital, he explained, is more than it seems. Behind the clean walls, illegal deals happen. Money laundering, drug trials without consent, cover-ups. She felt sick. Your sister discovered proof of these crimes. She tried to warn people but was silenced. Silenced, she repeated, her voice barely a whisper. Exactly. He showed her a photo. Her sister standing outside a luxury hotel with a shadowy man who was known to control illegal networks in the city. Her mind reeled. A new ally. Or enemy. Suddenly, the office door clicked. They froze. A woman stepped inside, sharp and confident. I see you've met Adrian, she said, eyes cold. Who are you? The woman asked, turning to her. His sister, she replied cautiously. The woman smirked. My name is Claire. I work here, but I'm not like the others. I want to help. She explained that she'd been quietly investigating the hospitals. Corruption too, but had to keep her distance. Adrian and Claire exchanged tense looks. Can we trust her? She asked Adrian. He hesitated but nodded. Right now, she's our best chance. The threat grows. The phone buzzed again. Last warning. Stop digging or pay the price. She felt the threat sharpen like a knife. This wasn't just a mystery. It was a fight for survival. Emotional turmoil. Her mind whirled, hope tangled with fear, anger clashed with grief. Why had her sister been caught in this nightmare? Why had no one warned her? Was she next? Tears welled in her eyes, but she blinked them back. She wouldn't be afraid anymore. A plan. Forms Adrian, Claire, and she began to piece together clues. Documents pointed to a secret trial in the hospital. Basement, illegal experiments on patients without consent. Her sister had stumbled upon this. Now they had to find proof. Cliffhanger. Suddenly, the lights flickered violently. A loud crash echoed from the hallway. Someone was trying to break in. Adrian grabbed her arm. We need to hide now. They ducked behind a filing cabinet as the door shook. Her heart thundered. The danger had arrived. Secrets behind locked doors. The door rattled violently, the lock groaning as someone forced it. Her heart pounded so loud she was sure it could be heard in the small office. She pressed herself flat against the cold filing cabinet, trying to disappear into the shadows. Adrian's hand was tight on her wrist, his face grim and focused. We don't have much time, he whispered. Claire's eyes darted to the door. They know we're here. We need to get out, fast. She nodded, swallowing the lump in her throat. Fear wanted to freeze her, but something stronger pushed her forward. She had to survive. For her sister, for the truth. Narrow escape. Adrian quickly scanned the room. A small window above the filing cabinet was her only hope. Help me move this, he said, nodding at the cabinet. Together, they pushed it aside, the metal scraping loudly against the tile floor. The window was narrow but open just enough. Adrian climbed out first, disappearing into the dim corridor. Your turn, he said. She climbed up, her heart racing, and slipped through the opening. Claire followed, and just as the last foot cleared, the door burst open. 2 security guards stormed in, but the office was empty. They exchanged a glance and radioed for backup. The chase begins. The hospital basement was a maze, and the 3 of them hurried through the shadowed halls, guided by the faint emergency exit signs. Her breath came in short gasps. Every noise felt like a threat. The distant shout of guards, the pounding of footsteps, the low hum of machines. "Split up," Claire whispered urgently. "They can't follow all of us." Adrian and Claire disappeared down 2 different corridors. She hesitated but knew it was the only chance to stay alive. She ran toward the end of the hallway and pushed open a heavy door marked "Maintenance, Trapped." The maintenance room was cramped, filled with cleaning supplies and machinery. She slammed the door behind her and leaned against it, trying to control her shaking. Her phone buzzed again. "You're closer than we thought. Stop now." Tears blurred her vision. The threats felt like chains around her heart. Her sister's blood-stained note and the dangerous secrets were pulling her deeper into a darkness she had never imagined, a hidden message in the dim light. Her eyes caught a small envelope tucked behind a stack of boxes. Curious, she pulled it out. It was addressed to her sister. Inside was a handwritten letter. "If you're reading this, it means I'm in danger. The hospital hides horrors no one must know. I found proof, files, recordings. The truth will set us free, but only if you survive long enough to expose it. Trust no one. Remember the old clinic on Pine Street. It holds the key. Please be careful. Love, Emily." Her sister's name, Emily. Her breath caught. Pine Street. The old clinic. She'd heard about it. An abandoned building that used to serve as a medical center before the hospital was built. Was this where the real secret lay? The past returns. Suddenly, memories came flooding back. Emily had always been the brave one. The sister who never gave up, even when the world turned cold. She recalled their last conversation, Emily's whispered fears about the hospital, the strange men watching her. Her heart ached with guilt. She hadn't believed her. Now it was. Too late. A risky decision. She pocketed the letter and made a decision. She couldn't run. She had to follow Emily's lead. The old clinic on Pine Street was her next destination. She found Adrian waiting outside the basement exit, his face tight. "With worry, we have to move quickly," he said. "They're searching the hospital." Together they slipped out into the cold night, the city's dark streets swallowing them whole. Secrets in the shadows. The old clinic was a crumbling relic, its windows boarded up, walls cracked and stained. By time, they slipped inside through a broken side door, the air thick with dust and silence. Inside, the darkness wrapped around them. Adrian pulled out a small flashlight. The beam cutting through the gloom. The hidden files. They searched the clinic room by room. Finally, behind a loose panel in the floor, she found a metal box. Inside were files, photographs, patient records, audio recordings. Her hands trembled as she flipped through the papers, names of patients who had disappeared, treatments that were never approved, tests on unwilling participants. The audio recording. Claire pressed play on a small recorder. A shaky voice filled the room, a whistleblower's confession about illegal experiments and money laundering. Her sister's voice was on the recording, whispering urgent warnings. The truth was worse than she imagined. Betrayal and danger. Suddenly, footsteps echoed outside. "We're not alone," Adrian warned. They hid in a storage closet as voices approached. 2 men entered the clinic, speaking in hushed but harsh tones about cleaning up loose ends. Her heart thundered. Emily's warning was real. The danger was closing in. The choice. The men left after a tense moment. She looked at Adrian and Claire. "We have the proof," she said. "But what now?" Adrian's eyes were fierce. "We expose this. We fight back." Her phone buzzed again. A new message. "You were warned. Last chance." Cliffhanger. Suddenly, the power went out. Darkness swallowed the clinic. A shadow moved near the entrance, and then a voice whispered in the dark, "You shouldn't have come here." The fight for truth. The voice echoed through the darkness like a cold blade slicing the silence. "You shouldn't have come here." Her breath caught. The trio froze in place, the flashlight beam trembling in Adrian's hand. The old clinic's decaying walls seemed to close in on them, shadows twisting into menacing shapes. She tried to steady her racing heart. "Who's there?" Adrian demanded, stepping forward cautiously. No answer. A tense silence followed. Captured. In the dark, before they could move, a heavy hand grabbed her arm, dragging her into the shadows. She struggled, panic rising in her chest, but the grip was iron strong. Adrian lunged to help, but was grabbed from behind, silenced with a sharp press against his neck. Claire shouted, but was pushed to the floor. They were surrounded, the hidden enemy, under the weak glow of a dying emergency light. The intruders revealed themselves. 3 men in dark suits, faces unfamiliar but cold with authority. One stepped forward. "You have no idea what you're meddling with," he said, voice low and threatening. The woman swallowed hard, trying to hold on to her courage. "Why are you doing this? What happened to my sister? What's the secret?" she demanded. The man smiled thinly. "Your sister crossed a line. You're lucky we haven't done worse." The truth behind the hospital. The leader pulled out a folder, flipping it open. "Your sister found evidence of a scheme that runs deeper than you know. This hospital was built as a front to cover illegal medical trials and corporate greed. People like your sister were liabilities." Her stomach churned. Why kill her? Not kill. Disappear. For her safety and ours. Her hands clenched. The lie felt like a slap. The desperate bargain. The man stepped closer. "But we're not without mercy. Stop digging, forget the files. Walk away and we'll let you live in peace." Her eyes burned with fury. "No, I want justice. For Emily and everyone who suffered." A pause. The man nodded slowly. "Brave, foolish, either way your fate is sealed." A sudden rescue. Suddenly, the door behind them crashed open. Flashlights flooded the room. Police officers stormed in, shouting commands. The suited men froze. Adrian's voice was urgent. "This is a raid on the hospital's illegal operations. We tipped them off." She blinked, stunned. "How? Why?" Claire smiled grimly. "We have allies." The aftermath. The suited men were handcuffed and led away. She sank to the floor, relief washing over her. Adrian sat beside her, his hand warm on her shoulder. "We're safe, for now." She nodded, but the weight of loss lingered, a hidden revelation. Later, as the hospital's corruption unraveled in the news, Adrian handed her a small, locked box. "It belonged to Emily," he said softly. Inside was a key and a letter, her sister's. Handwriting trembled on the page. "If you're reading this, it means I didn't make it. But don't stop. There's one more secret, something they can't touch. Use this key to find it." The final puzzle. The key fit a hidden drawer in Emily's old desk where she had lived. Inside was a flash drive. She plugged it in, her hands shaking. Files and videos spilled onto the screen, proof of bribery, abuse, and more. The truth was explosive, emotional closure. She sat back, tears streaming. Emily's courage had saved lives. She felt a strange peace, mixed with a fierce determination. She would finish what her sister started. Powerful lesson. Sometimes, she realized, fear is the prison we build ourselves. But facing it can unlock a strength we never knew we had. Losing Emily had shattered her world. But it also gave her the power to change it. Cliffhanger. But just as she was about to call the police, her phone buzzed. A new message flashed on the screen. "This isn't over. They're coming for you next." The millionaire's secret. The message blinked ominously on her phone screen. "This isn't over. They're coming for you next." She stared at it, frozen by a cold wave of dread. The hospital's walls hadn't just held lies and betrayal. They had bred a ruthless network willing to silence anyone who dared uncover the truth. But who was they, and how deep did this go? A shadow in the night that night. She barely slept. Every creak in the house, every distant car horn felt like a warning. Adrian stayed close, but even his calm presence couldn't shake the gnawing fear. "Who sent that message?" she asked, voice barely a whisper. "I don't know," Adrian admitted, "but whoever it is, they have power, and they want to stop us." The two sat in silence, the shadows stretching long across the floor, blending with their worries. Unexpected ally, the... Next morning, she got a call from an unknown number. "Claire, it's David." David. The name sent a jolt through her memory. He was her sister Emily's closest friend, the man who had once worked at the hospital but left under mysterious circumstances. "I've been watching from the sidelines," David said. "I want to help. You need to know what I found." The Millionaire's identity meeting in a quiet cafe. David leaned in, eyes scanning the room nervously. "The hospital's owner isn't who you think." She frowned. "Who is he?" David lowered his voice. "His name is Jonathan Crane, a billionaire who made his fortune in biotech. He's been funding secret trials at the hospital. Emily discovered his involvement, and that's why she was silenced." Her breath hitched. Jonathan Crane, the millionaire I heard about. But why would someone like him care about a small hospital? David shook his head. "It's not just the hospital. It's bigger. Crane is building an empire on stolen research, human lives and silence." The connection, she felt a chill. That name, Jonathan Crane, felt familiar. The man she'd seen in the hospital waiting room the day she feared seeing. A doctor. Could he be the millionaire hiding behind the calm face, her heart hammered with new understanding and terror? Gathering evidence, David handed over a folder thick with documents, photos, and encrypted files. "This is just the start," he said. "If we go public with this, Crane will stop at nothing." Adrian looked at the files. "This is dangerous," she nodded, but her resolve was iron. "We owe it to Emily to see this through." Betrayal, close to home days past, and their small team dug deeper, but trust was fragile. One night she found a note slipped under her door. "Stop now, or your family pays." Her breath caught. Could someone close to her be a traitor? Her mind raced through every face she knew, every conversation. The secret meeting. Desperate, she arranged a meeting with a whistleblower from inside Crane's company. The man arrived late. At night, hooded and nervous. "I'm afraid for my life," he said, "but I have proof." He handed over a flash drive. "Their next move is to cover tracks, starting with you." Her hands shook. The millionaire's power. Jonathan Crane was not just a businessman. He was a kingpin. He controlled hospitals, media, even politicians. Every step closer to the truth meant stepping into his crosshairs. A dangerous game. The trio devised a plan. They would leak the evidence to an independent journalist known for exposing and corruption. But Crane's men were watching. She felt their eyes everywhere. The night of reckoning on. The night they planned to meet the journalist, her phone rang. "Meet me at the old pier." "Alone," the voice demanded. It was Crane. Her blood ran cold. Cliffhanger. She arrived at the pier, dark waves crashing beneath the wooden boards. A sleek black car waited, its engine humming low. The door opened. Jonathan Crane stepped out, a calm smile on his face. "Did you really think you could stop me?" From fear to freedom, the black car idled quietly by the pier, its polished surface reflecting the flickering streetlights. Jonathan Crane stepped forward, his expression calm, almost too calm, as if he held the world in the palm of his hand. She felt every nerve scream at her to run, but instead, she squared her shoulders, meeting his cold gaze without flinching. "You came," Crane said, his voice smooth, like silk wrapped around steel. She swallowed the fear clawing at her throat. "I'm not afraid anymore." The confrontation. Crane's smile faded. "You should be. You don't understand what you're dealing with." She shook her head. "I understand exactly what you are. You hid behind money and power. But you forgot. One thing, people like me don't break that easily." He studied her, then laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. Brave words for someone so alone. Alone. She glanced behind her. Adrian and David emerged from the shadows, their faces set with determination. Crane's eyes flicked between them. "So it's a little rebellion." The truth exposed. In that moment, a sudden roar filled the air. Police cars flooded the pier, lights flashing red and blue. The independent journalist she had contacted stood beside officers, holding a camera. "We have everything on record," the journalist announced. "The truth about Jonathan Crane's crimes will finally be exposed." Crane's expression twisted from smugness to rage. The arrest officers moved quickly, cuffing Crane and reading him his rights. "You'll never win," Crane spat as he was led away. But she stood taller than ever. Emotional healing days. Later, as the news broadcasted Crane's empire crumbling under layers of corruption, she felt a strange peace wash over her. Emily's courage had sparked a wildfire, one that no amount of money or power could extinguish. She visited her sister's grave, laying fresh flowers. "I'm sorry I didn't believe you sooner," she whispered, "but I promise your fight wasn't in vain." Tears streamed down her face, tears of grief, of healing, and finally hope. Rebuilding Life Adrian, David and Claire started a foundation in Emily's name to help victims of medical abuse. She threw herself into the work, channeling pain into purpose. Her fear of doctors faded, replaced by a new mission to ensure no one else would suffer in silence. A powerful lesson. Sitting by a window, watching the sunrise, she reflected on everything she'd endured, sometimes losing everything. Trust, safety, even family, is the crucible that forges true strength. Fear had been her cage. Facing it had set her free. Unexpected connection. One afternoon, she received a letter. Inside was a simple note: "You are stronger than you know. Emily's legacy lives on because of you." A friend. A small smile curved her lips. She wasn't alone after all. Final twist. As she looked up, the doorbell rang. Standing there was a man she never expected to see, a quiet figure from the hospital's shadows. "I'm here to help," he said, and with that, her journey toward healing and justice was only beginning. The end.